All right, folks, we're back. And next game, as we said, is going to be GuMiho versus Bly. Now, it is worth noting, as we learned during the break, Bly is actually streaming his own games. I would highly recommend checking out his stream. It's just twitch.tv/AcerBly. That's awkward. But it's twitch.tv/AcerBly. He's probably not using stream delay like we are, so please, if you are going to watch his stream, obviously, I hope you have a good time, contribute, whatever, but don't bring spoilers back to this channel because we'll not appreciate that. You'll get banned pretty quick for it. But Bly beating Super was certainly an upset, but we'll see if he can pull off the same sort of moves versus GuMiho. Or Sue, thank you. Excuse me. Yes, Sue. Super. Whatever.
Super is playing against Joshi right now.
Yes. Him beating Sue, though, was certainly a bit surprising. But here's the thing about Bly, right? If you don't know Bly, I think it's expected that you lose to Bly. I remember Neeb was on this kick, and he probably never seen Bly before. When he got proxy hatchery in the last 3 games in a row, we kind of laughed about it, right? But then the next time they played, Neeb won pretty easily. So same thing may have been. Sue may not have been aware of what Bly was up to. TvZ obviously doesn't present as many options for cheese the same way it does against others, but I hope GuMiho knows at this point. They've played each other enough times, or at least met in a couple of our tournaments, that this should not be an, oh my god, who's this player? I had no idea he did cheese. Like, GuMiho should and hopefully will be prepared for this.
Yeah, I guess Sue might not have been playing a lot of versus Bly, because Sue's only been recently playing in online tournaments, but GuMiho's been doing that forever, so I'm pretty sure if I looked up their record, GuMiho would probably be quite a bit in the lead, maybe, even?
Yeah.
So...
especially if this ends up being a mech, I'm especially interested to see what that'll look like out of Bly's end of all things. But quick thing, this was actually brought up earlier, and I forgot about it, so we didn't really go over it. Someone was asking, though, if you were going to be at the finals for Nation Wars.
Yes, I am.
So I guess as a bit of an announcement, too, for those that aren't aware, Zamgrub has been casting Nation Wars like live in France. I think it's, by the way, I'm just going to give this as an opinion. This isn't a statement or a judgment, but I think it's strange that they keep flying her there and back and there. Like, this is like 3 separate trips to France she's gotten to take. And they've been covering it all for her. So she'll be going back for the finals. I think it's like 2 days and then you're back home again. Is that about right?
Yes. 3 times, yeah. But like, it's... I guess it kind of makes sense for the amount of money it would take to like round trip. I think it would about equal like 8 or 9 days worth of a hotel. It actually would equal like more like 6 or 7 days, and then it's been like 8 or 9 days between each trip. So, in fact, this time it was like 13 days. So, at first though, they were also gonna have me like come go out this weekend, I think. Like when I got the plans 2 months ago, and that would have been obnoxious, for sure. I don't think Bly's paying attention, by the way. Just gonna make sure that he's looking.
Alright, but yeah, anyways, so I'm going to be back doing Nation Wars finals and all that live, so if you guys make sure to tune in and support her through all those endeavors. But SC2 Fool just subbed to the channel, and then Tom KD donated $5 saying, Ace Kate, butts, Ace Kate. Actually, oh, I forgot to make the contribution from last stream, so I think that brings it to like 195 or something we have to add to the Match Arena page, which puts us ever closer to the Scarlet Cooking stream.
Nice.
That'll actually put us about, I want to say like $100 away. We're 2,651 currently raised. So 100 and, well, we'll say 200 for safety's sake. That'll put about 2,800. Nice.
Very nice. So Todd just tweeted a picture of his, is it a Sai or a Kai? Do you know?
What?
You ever heard of these acai or acai bowls? They're like the super healthy craze going on right now.
Oh, like the berries or whatever?
Yeah, they're berries.
I just googled how to pronounce the word, and I'm going to listen to it. 1 sec.
Acai.
I guess it's acai.
Okay, so it is acai. That's what I thought, but then I like... I don't know. Anyways, So, yeah, he the reason I went to like breakfast with him that one day, like he posted a picture, was that I think he just really wanted someone to go to a restaurant with and eat a acai bowl because he's been craving them, which is fine and cool. But like I was like so interested in it, and like I heard people say that it's really good that I actually went and bought it. This is such it's like the hipster health food craze of the past couple months. Like it's expensive. It's only found in like one grocery store in like a 20-50 mile radius, some shit like that.
What, of you
And
or
of anyone. Like it's only sold at like very specific stores, and they're usually the healthy, more expensive stores like Whole Foods. So
I'm just trying to think, what if you were feeling a little bit depressed and you ordered that dish and you didn't want all of it on the main dish? So would you give a acai as you ordered an acai bowl on the side?
Huh. Oh, you.
Wordplay.
Yeah. Point is, I finally got some. Unless it was going to be super delicious, I probably wouldn't buy it again, because it's like $8 for like 4 packets that make like 4 bowls. Like that's, I don't know.
So was it good?
Lot. It was okay. It's like eating a smoothie, which is like it's the appeal of it. Like that's what people would describe it as. But I thought it would be a lot like tangier, you know, like something like truly absolutely delicious. And I don't really care that it's like a superfood or whatever people keep saying that it is. I just wanted it to be really delicious. It's okay. It's like a solid 7 out of 10, you know. But would I buy it again? Would I actually be so fruity tooty? Literally fruity because you put a lot of fruit in it.
Fruity
to like
tooty.
make that
like
breakfast every morning. I don't think so. I think it would. I mean, it's very healthy. Like I feel like, you know, I feel like I'm healthier than I really am when I eat it, but yeah, I don't know what it's worth. So that's my adventure this morning. That's what I was eating. I thought actually you were going to ask me what I was eating because it probably looked really weird because it's purple. Yet
well, it did look weird with the way you were chewing. It's like,
yeah. Oh well. We got a new sub.
Oh, did we? I missed that. Yeah, Nats Nuz. Thank you very much. We are finally in the lobby for this habitation station. Bly just needing a moment. Once he's back, we'll get this show on the road.
Yeah, GuMiho wasn't accepting anyway. So, in other news, besides my food adventures.
You have other news?
I know. Is I made a little console area for myself.
I saw that tweet. Yeah, because I know you'd been talking about the. You've made me really antsy and wanting a console, but I can't really afford to go buy one right now. I'm trying to move out because that little nook looks nice and like just chill on your bed, play a couple of games. You got like the even better PS4 games coming out too.
Yeah, for those that don't know, like I recently had a space in my room open up basically. So I went out to Walmart and bought like a $20 like little tiny bookcase thing and like set it up all by myself, and Apollo helped and it was pretty cute. But then I put all my games over there. Like I'm gonna take out my Sega and like my Super Nintendo and like my old PlayStation. I'm gonna set it up and be like those people on Reddit that post their console areas that look really fancy.
They're
except it's not gonna be as fancy.
Battle stations.
Are they really?
Well, actually, that's like your computer desk. I would imagine it's probably about the same for your console area.
Like I'm so jealous of the people that put there's this one dude that put his consoles like on the wall and then like lines the cords so it kind of made this like circuit board look to his TV. And
I've seen that. I've seen that. It looks so nice.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the TING Season 3 WildCard Qualifiers. We're in a brand new game, and in the top right side of the map, it's going to be the red Terran player coming from Korea. It's GuMiho.
In the top left, as the blue Zerg, he is Bly.
Not entirely in the top left. Now again, Bly streaming his own matches, guys. Again, twitch.tv/AcerBly. I know he's not an Acer anymore, but that's the Twitch handle. Watch his point of view. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if he's doing commentary, but don't bring spoilers back to this channel. Now, there's a couple things to be said here. For Bly, this is very expected. Out of everything we've been seeing, in fact, if you've seen Scarlet's success with proxies, she's actually been attributing that to Bly and like him inspiring / helping her out with it. So again, this guy is like the root of all evil, so to speak.
The root of all evil.
But do you think
Everything
this is
starts with Bly.
do you think this is Roach? It's gotta be Roaches, right? He hasn't pulled the drones.
I think so, yeah. It's generally come down to Spine Crawlers versus Protoss, Roaches versus Terran, but it's also has to do with the proximity of the proxy hatch to the base, and yeah, with it being so far away, that's yeah, that would be the Roaches. And there is the Roachborn, so still 2 gases.
All right.
GuMiho has yet to scout.
Well, here's the problem though. Regardless of scouting for the moment, defending against the Ravager push is really annoying. Reapers obviously do not cut it. Siege tanks do not cut it. Your best bet would maybe be pumping out something from the sky or Cyclones. I mean, it all depends on how you handle it. Obviously, unit type isn't all that matters, but Bly's gonna have no problem chipping away at this. His Lings are getting on top of the 2 SCVs, one building the wall and the other building the command center, so this is really annoying for GuMiho.
And you saved that SCV. It is definitely annoying for that command center. The Reaper comes back and we'll see the creep and be like, oh shit.
Now, I do want to point out, we said this before we got into this. GuMiho may have already anticipated this, and he may have been comfortable doing this build against Bly. We don't actually know. We'll see on the success and fail of it, but he's actually going to get the SCV despite the fact that the Reaper was right there playing babysitter. The bunker coming down is not going to work. That doesn't finish in time, and even if it did, it would get bust by the Ravagers that sooner to follow. Command Center should just be canceled at this point. Build it up on the high ground. Use the money for anything else. The reactor's going to get picked off. I mean, for Bly, this attack normally doesn't pick up until after the Ravagers are made. Oh, he's barely going to save the reactor.
Oh, lordy. That was... I thought for sure that was going to go down. That was very close.
That was actually really smart for GuMiho, too. He wasn't mismicroing the Marines. He's trying to push the Overlord off because it's high ground vision that gives Bly the advantage here, but unfortunately, the Overlord was also pulled back. So the reactor is going to go down. Ravagers are made. It's so annoying because it's about to heal that Roach to full as the Ravager hatches.
OP, am I right? So far, GuMiho has not died to this. Losing the command center is a bummer, because if you scout it with an SCV, you can put the command center on the high ground and probably still hold. But it's not over yet. But the lack of a, you know, the lack of a tank means that the Ravagers pick on top of the Cyclones.
That was a really good predictive Ravager shot, by the way, to catch those SCVs.
There we go.
Yeah, Cyclone goes down. Another one's about to pop out. It's still not going to be enough on its own. And I think Bly has taken game number 1. Like it's looking unmanageable. GG.
No. Get who you play.
So my question was, GuMiho may have known about this. Was he still comfortable enough to do the build? And I guess that doesn't matter. I don't think he knew about it. I'm just going to be straight up honest. I don't think he saw that coming. And Bly certainly has, was he weaseled his way into a quick 1-0? That being said, we'll find out what the next map is momentarily. It's not loser's pick as it normally is. We have vetoes done for this. What is the next map?
Echo.
Okay. I guess we've seen Echo be the second map on both of these so far. The winner of this goes on to fight against Keen in the semifinals. We may follow this through, but I do want to stress for people, normally when we see a bracket like this, we are holding both semifinals, but because it's double elimination, we will not be holding both semifinals.
I think we had a new sub and a regular sub.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce that. Zophie?
That's what I would go with. Sophie42? New sub?
Thank you for the new sub. Matt D, thank you for coming back for 22 Millennium. My console station is my entire lounge room. Pixar, it didn't happen. And then Epi35 for the 22 months as well. And actually, if you do have a cool picture of your like setup, guys, like if you got an awesome battle station set up at your computer desk, if you got a console set up, tweet us pictures of it. I at least me, I love seeing those things. I love seeing how people have got their stuff organized and arranged. Some people with like 3 monitors, some people hold them up horizontally versus vertically. I don't know. I love seeing the differences. So,
once upon a time, the basement was the console area because, of course, that's where you just send all the kids. You know, my brothers were young, and then my brothers stopped really playing console games when they got computers in their room, so it was my console area. But then my dad took it over, and I don't know, like there's there's the whole issue of being like at home with the family, and like I can't put the console area in the living room like it would be ideal because my mom always is watching TV, and like that wouldn't really do anything. Plus,
Well,
my living room's like kind of big, and like from the TV to the couch is actually kind of far. I miss just being right up against that screen. You know what I mean? Like in the basement, I was there.
I have a cool story bro moment down to that, but let's get the player intros done first. In the bottom right, he's up 1 game. It's Bly playing for Team Expert.
In the top left, as the red Terran, he is GuMiho.
So I'm going back to the days of like the Nintendo, like the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System first came out, right? So this is, I'm fairly young. My grandparents, my cute, adorable Asian grandparents, trying to accommodate us visiting them, knew that we loved the Nintendo Entertainment System, but they didn't want to buy one for us. So they say, oh, what we'll do is we'll set up a TV downstairs in the basement so that while we're talking with your parents, you kids can go downstairs and play. You just bring the console with you, right? So we were so excited to hear this. And we get there, and what my grandparents have set up, and bless their hearts and all this, was first off, the tiniest TV I've seen in my life. This is like borderline portable TV type thing, right? It's so tiny. But because of this, it's also got no like auxiliary jacks or anything to plug into it. So there's only the cable option, which, you know, if you can't plug the NAS in, then you can't use it. So we're sitting down there, and we're too young to really know how all this works. So we're just kind of like, oh, I guess this doesn't work. Sad. And we didn't go upstairs and ask for help. So 2 hours later, my grandparents come in expecting us to be playing and having such a good time. And we've just been sitting there so bored out of our minds for the last few hours. And I could just like see their hearts break. They're like, oh no, what have we done?
Yeah. I thought this was gonna be one of those situations where your grandparents buy like the knockoff.
Oh, that'd be even better. We start playing like the things where it's like Donkey Kong and Through Space and Time, like they did at AGDQ. And...
Yeah, that's what I thought was gonna happen. But that also makes a lot of sense because that's what my grandparents did. They just put a TV downstairs. Actually, the only time I've ever played the regular Nintendo is at my grandparents' house, and it's still there, and it still kind of works. But that's, oh my god, that's so old.
Alright, well, Bly kept his hatchery at home in this game, but he still went for the pretty quick pool. As he comes across the map of the Lings, he should be able to get the SUV on this, and because GuMiho went pretty quick into that reactor, that one Reaper is on the wrong side of the map, he might even be able to get some damage done on the said reactor, and if he kills the reactor, that would be devastating, but he's going to focus on the command center instead, chase that SCV away, gets the cancel, that's huge.
See, if it's only 2 Lings, that's the SCV kill, not a cancel. If it's 6 or 8 Lings, or more, I guess, definitely a command center kill, but then you have to be very scared of the follow-up. So GuMiho not going back home with the Reaper was probably because A, he knew he couldn't save the command center, like it just would go down too fast, and B, he really needs to scout if there's a follow-up like Baneling or something like that, because Bly would be the type of guy to do that, like 1 base or 2 bases without any drones. So he does see that the speed has yet to finish. He didn't see a Baneling nest. He didn't see much else with the Reaper, to be honest, but I think he saw enough to tell him that he can not worry about being all in.
The other part I was going to bring up, and this is what I would have looked for, I think, above anything else, knowing Bly, you scout for the Evo Chamber, not the Roach Ward, not the Baneling Nest, because Bly's likely to drop you with Lings, given the opportunity. But no Overlords in position, no Evo Chamber down, and Bly's actually going for a pretty quick layer behind this.
Oh, yeah. Bly is one of the only guys doing 2-base Spires. I think he was the first one to really do it in Legacy of the Void. You know, he's so bold. But...
It makes more sense that he would do 2-base Spire, but I'm actually got my fingers crossed for a Nidus Worm right now. Just because it's Bly. You know... Like, he's willing to be volatile like that. And he's the guy who used to do Nidus Worms to the point of, like, numbing succession where, okay, you've lost the first 7 Nidus Worms, but turns out number 8 was the one that worked.
Yeah, right?
Cloak Banshee going to be the weapon of choice from GuMiho on the other side of the map. This is a bit interesting because he does this before making a Banshee. He goes Viking first to drive off Overlords. I like this a lot. If this was going to be a Nidus Worm, vision would be necessary.
Yeah. First, I think GuMiho would have liked it better had it not scouted the starport at all and saw the follow-up was Banshees, unless he cancels Cloak right now. But, you know, do what you can. It is going to be 2-base Spire, which is going to be very helpful against fast Banshees. The Raven can only help out so much, and of course the Hellbats, if they were well timed, might be able to do devastating amounts of damage, but the Armory is timed out kind of with a Spire here, so the Mutas might be out in time.
I think
deal with
he'd
the
be.
Hellbats.
I think
Very
he'd be able to
close.
buy enough time at least with the lings and the queens that it wouldn't get too out of hand prior to them hatching. But a couple of shout outs through really quick while things ramp up. Thank you to old Jimmy for the 5 months, and Cruz Reg just up brand new just now. Thank you so much for joining the family. And then 2 years on the Bert338 says 2 years hype. Hashtag not all heroes wear capes. All heroes wear Twitch badges in BaseTradeTV chat. Although I was beaten yesterday by somebody named Bert, so also I hate you for your name.
What if his name is like Thebert? Like Theodore?
Ah, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's like
You wish-
the Bert, no.
You know, there's like a really funny. I'll talk about it after. Remind me about GSL. So the Hellbats do transform. The Spire's almost done. If they scan, that might be enough time to get the mutas out. But they're looking.
Well, it's a Raven.
To,
It's
oh,
a
they don't
scan.
have to. Yeah. That's
Well, the
true.
point is,
That's
it's
the
still kind of walking forward and taking these out while I can. Auto Turf's going to do a lot of damage if he gets on top of that really quick. He has to walk away from it instead. 7 seconds of just crazy chaos. But this opens up the mineral lines potentially. The Queens have already had to burn some transfuses. Bly knows he's got mutas coming, but they're so far out from what these drones are trying to live for. Oh my god, they're running for their lives.
Oh no.
Oh, where do you even
Nori.
go? Oh, he's found the one way to escape! Yeah, she gets
Wow.
the drones out alive. I thought GuMiho had the Xbox 360 surround on that, but he actually does get cleaned up, and Bly takes very minimal losses. And now with the mutas out, he's got the potential for damage. Back on the other side of the map, turrets are coming down. GuMiho has a wall off, and a Thor's on deck with a lot of Vikings. I don't think Bly's going to run away this game with the mutas, but the fact is he takes the aggression back home, and GuMiho's no longer putting pressure on Bly, which means Bly gets to make more drones and saturate this third base.
Yeah, we're gonna be able to see what Silky could have done had he not taken so much damage from the Hellbats and then the follow-up Liberators too. It's still a tough game because Bly did lose a lot of mining time, although not a lot of drones, but he did get his third base already up and running, so he could just easily put all of his larvae into drones for, you know, like the next minute basically. And he knows he could do that because the mutas provide him with scouting as well as the tiniest bit of pressure. And if GuMiho really was so bold as to send out his Hellions or something like that, or his Thors, God forbid, like, it probably wouldn't be worth it for GuMiho, right? So, oh, whoa, Bly even goes for a super fast hive. This is a 7-minute hive, plus he took a bit of damage early on. That's really quick.
I'm actually going to be, like, you can, and I think should in most cases, go for the Greater Spire when fighting against mech. But the fact that he's already seen so many Vikings out, Thor's already coming, I'm not sure if that's going to be his choice. All things considered, Ultras may be the better option here.
He might just go 100% into the air battle, though. And if he does, then I think he could potentially still win the air war.
I don't know. There's definitely a maybe on that because Corruptors are just generically cheap, mass-produced, good units for the sky. But I think...
Yeah.
the reason I think Ultras would be better is there's not going to be a line of tanks. Bly has scouted that. There's not a huge amount of Widow Mines set down already. Bly has scouted that, right? Like, I think he knows what's up. So he's going for a lot of roaches right now.
Well,
I actually didn't expect this.
Yeah, for me, I wouldn't even like the hive that much. Like, it's impressive and the
Me
timing
neither.
will be impressive, but if he had to swarm with roaches, he might be pressuring the third base right now. He would, well, he's dealing with turrets, but I think he'd actually either do a lot of pressure. But he did add on the Hydralisk Den and the hive, and of course he went for the mutas. So his roach count's actually not that impressive, plus he's supply blocked right now.
Yeah. Actually, I like this. If this is what he went for the Hive for specifically for Vipers, then I actually like the Hive move. If he was going for Broodlords, or if he was going for Ultras and he got stopped by looking at what GuMiho was doing, then yeah, that's a big mistake. But Blinding Clouds are phenomenal. Parasitic Bomb can be devastating.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I brought up, like, he could go 100% into the air if he got, like, Parasitic Bombs and Corruptors and just kept them back for a little while, so the Vikings aren't picking them off one by one. But I think going for a ground-based war with help support from the air is actually a really good move. Now, the Vikings in this count will still, like, they'll kill a lot of the Vipers. In fact, they might even kill, like, 2 or 3 before they even reach the Blinding Cloud area. But if he gets 2 good Blinding Clouds, it'd still be worth it for Bly.
Yeah, Blinding Cloud, of course, had its reduction, or its duration reduced recently, but it still lasts long enough that you'll get in position, and I think, if nothing else, that's the best part about Blinding Cloud. It buys you positioning rather than necessarily kills, but, of course, can do both. Hydras bring a lot of damage to the party. And this is a fairly low upgrade game across the board for both. No one really has +3 vehicle armor. There's not going to be a ton of point defense turns. The Raven was picked off. So these Hydras should get the damage they want.
Yeah. The question right now is, was GuMiho given enough time to have appropriate defenses? That includes the amount of units that he has, but also the amount of SimCity that he has. He's trying to get a planetary at the front. He does have at least one missile turret to help out as well, but it's really not that impressive. Like, he doesn't have a missile turret line for his third base, so the Vipers they might be able to escape, even with this many Vikings available. That's kind of a question mark, though. There's, what, like 8 Vikings? 10 Vikings, in fact. Wow, that's a lot. But he does still have SimCity on his side. He's chokes on his side as well. Here come the Vipers. One gets taken out.
Oh, there's the parasitic bombs. Vikings land, though, and I kind of forgot that works. That parasitic bomb can only hit air. So if there's not a huge ground army, I guess it's not a threat. Blinding Claws definitely would have been better, but he goes for abducts while he can. Corsair Bob's going to land on the remaining bits of the army, but Bly's army will not be able to push into this.
I think Bly should invest. Well, okay, so we can either go for more Vipers, but those, like, I thought 2 or 3 would get taken out immediately, but, like, seriously, all of them did very quickly.
I really don't like the choice of parasitic bombs. Even though that, like, the Vikings landed, I didn't think about them juking it out. I think the Blinding Clouds would have given the ground army way better support. Because, like, let's imagine for a second that the Vikings were untouched, unscathed. There's no air for this for Bly. There's no Broodlords to protect. There's no Corruptors hide. Like, there's no reason to actually kill the Vikings while they're in the sky. And luckily, all that bonus damage that Vikings gained in Legacy of the Void patches, it doesn't affect biological units at all. So they still are pretty weak on the ground versus Roaches and Hydras.
Yeah, I agree. My only thought process is that maybe Bly considered that he would only get 3 Blinding Clouds down, because again, some Vipers would have died beforehand, and that 3 Blinding Clouds would have been easily escapable, and he still would have to get through a lot of SimCity, so maybe he was just looking for more pickoffs, but it didn't really work out. My
concern is the easiest time it appears Zerg has fighting against mech is usually when you've got numbers, because early on mech production isn't so great. But GuMiho is basically maxed out at this point, and Bly's army is looking not so great against it, frankly. If there was a couple of lurkers, you mix some Broodlords, Ultra, something late game for the reward of this Hive Tech, maybe it's different, but unfortunately right now these Vipers are all he really has to show for it, and they're not accomplishing much.
Yeah, the Liberators are getting quite a few kills. 2 Queens, I believe, as well as still killing drones. And it pulls the army back, too. So GuMiho is going to secure his 4th base, as well as continue pushing into Bly's 4th base. He might be able to get a very good position around a choke again, which is what Bly did not want to have happen. And what does Bly have? He has 3 Vipers. That's really what this battle is going to come down to, I feel. Unless he just counterattacks.
I mean, he could technically go for a base trade, but I don't think you want to do that. He's got a lot of money banked up, though, so the thing for Bly is, like, if he loses this Roach Hydra army, he can remax on it fairly quickly. Parasitic Bomb's going to come into play, and once again, I'm not sure on that choice, but he'll catch the army of GuMiho segmented, and this is where numbers win out. Concaves at the top of that ramp prevent him from moving back to respawn. He's going to pull the SCVs away. He cancels the planetary to lift it, but it's not going to lift. It's not going to get saved. This base gets shut down.
Yeah, and I'm not sure GuMiho feels confident enough to start pushing further on to creep towards that 3rd base, so he's kind of just stuck right here. I think the Vipers had no other choice but to throw down what they could. The tanks are so far back to where the Vikings were. They were picked off, preemptively, but 4 more Vipers, if they come from the right side, could actually have devastating Blinding Clouds. 4 Blinding Clouds, I think, would take care of most of the tanks.
Uh-oh.
And then Bly could move in to take care of it.
Well, Bly's been so focused on the front lines, he doesn't see these Hellions slip by. They are blue flames, so even the Hydras might not hold out too well with them.
We didn't really talk about upgrades. GuMiho got to +3 pretty quickly, whereas Bly is only on his way to +2, and no armor upgrades to speak of.
Yeah, if this was a game that had a lot more emphasis on, like, corrosive biles, you could kind of understand skipping over the upgrades, but the Vipers come in, a couple of Blinding Clouds land on not tanks, and that's the problem. Abduct's is going to go off, and this goes badly for Bly in every way possible.
Did he not have enough energy for Blinding Clouds?
I think that may have been the case, because he just kind of flew in awkwardly, and they looked like they were a little bit less than half.
Yeah, that's
oh no. Oh no.
Bly is really starting to bleed out too many units here. It was looking up when he killed that 4th base, and then he, well, just kept pushing into things.
I know that there's already a huge Viking lead, And I know that Thors are made, and everything here screams like you don't want to go Broodlords. But right now, Bly's dying to tanks above all else. And if round 4 of the Vipers and Blinding Clouds aren't solving your tank problem, you need to look to an alternate solution, and that's Broodlords, without a doubt. But it's too late, I think, and too far gone. And Bly, he's exhausted that amazing bank he had gotten through the early game. His drone count's not looking so phenomenal. And even though he ran away with all these bases and map control, he's been slowly losing it to GuMiho without getting any ground back himself.
And the top right base has been there for quite some time, but he never really got drones over to it. Same for this base here. So, yeah, his bank was good, but because he wasn't trading too often, and then it turned into a lot of really bad trades very quickly.
Yeah, and just to comment a little bit on the way this is working out too, like everything in the mech army hits slow and hard. Bly hits fast and small, and these hit and run moves where Bly's getting in and walking away, they favor the player who hits harder and slower. So again, just like the types of engagements aren't really working out for him. He's on pure Hydra. We got some Blinding Clouds finally gonna come in. Maybe this will break GuMiho's army.
Those are super good Blinding Clouds.
Those are amazing Blinding Clouds into a concave of Hydras, and Bly is shredding the army to bits, but he's still down half the army supply. It's not gonna be enough. Best engagement he could have hoped for, and he's still gonna have to tap out. GG.
Good God.
Yeah, GG's for good God. Well, that will tie up the series 1-1. We're gonna take a commercial break, guys. Stick with us, and we'll be back in 2 minutes with game number 3. All right, folks, we're back, and looks like the final map in this series will be Daybreak. This is actually a pretty good map for mech, so Bly had better watch out. Although at the same time, this is not a bad map for proxy hatcheries either, so GuMiho better watch out.
It's not a bad map for Thrax Reaper either. Go on and on.
I don't know. We haven't actually seen GuMiho really do that in a long time, though. Like a long, long time. So I don't know if he would be inclined to do it, but maybe that's where the mind games come in. Like... Never expect the unexpected, except when you're unexpectedly expecting the expected.
Never expect the unexpected? Shouldn't it always expect the unexpected?
Well, no, that's why I said afterwards.
Okay.
But looks like we will be getting into the game. Ladies and gentlemen, map number 3. Things are tied up here for the TING Open wildcard qualifiers. We're still in the winner's bracket, and this is actually getting pretty close to qualifying spots. Winner of this moves on to the semifinals where they'll fight against Keen. And spawning here on the top right side of the map, it's going to be the blue Zerg player, Bly.
In the bottom left is the red Terran. He is GuMiho.
So it is worth noting, by the way, a lot of players... in terms of like what they're able to play, and they hedge their bets. They play in both the wildcard qualifiers, hoping that if they can't make their like region qualifiers, and some of them hoping it'll be easier in the wildcard qualifiers. But all things considered, with all the Koreans in the top side of the bracket likely to take one of these 2 qualifying spots, the wildcard brackets might be a lot more difficult than people expect. So whether Bly wins or loses here, he still has the European qualifiers to compete in. Very interested to see which ones, which players actually make it through.
Yeah. Right now we're looking at 3 Terrans, potentially 4 Terrans, okay, in the top 4.
Yeah, but it is only
top bracket.
It is only 2 who qualify through. Just make sure everyone's aware.
Yeah, but there's my point is there's a lot of Terrans. It's actually a lot of Terrans on the top side, and then surprisingly a good amount of Protoss, I suppose, the bottom. Well, 2, 3. Hush is Protoss, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's where the Protoss went, to the losers bracket.
Hush and Trust are probably the 2 Protoss players that I never really remember are Protoss.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I agree with that. For me, it's that they don't sound like anything else. So Protoss is my default. It's like, it doesn't sound like they're a Terran player. It doesn't sound like they're a Zerg player. I think it might just be Protoss. If I sound like I mean vague remembering. Like, I think their names actually sound like they're Protoss. Anyway, although I guess Hush would make sense because Protoss don't speak.
Well,
Hush.
I'm seeing a lot of disappointing comments. People trying to give Bly a hard time or overanalyze GuMiho and all these things. I do want to point out, guys, Bly is certainly, in terms of career and results, probably underrated compared to GuMiho. I'll give you guys that much. But that being said, Bly's made a career out of beating players he's underrated against, so I'm not sure what to tell you. I've certainly got high hopes for him, and I'm cheering for him as the only foreigner left on the top side of the bracket.
This is already going poorly, though, for Bly. To try and convince you all otherwise. Like, he made a lot of lings to get another cancel in the command center. It didn't work out. GuMiho kept his Reaper at home. He also is following up with roaches, which that is the one upside almost always. If you open up with the lings, whether it's 2 or 6 or 8 or whatever, the Reaper will have that later scouting, right? Because it either has to go back and take care of it, or it never went forward in the first place and has to take care of the lings. So it's like the one good news, but even still, Bly might have this scouted part way, which is obviously worse than waiting till the very last second to have his roaches scouted. Or they might just go the opposite directions. That's actually really nice for Bly.
Quickly before the action kicks off, though, we did have Hard Revenge donate $2 just now to say, can we have a Ting Jesse versus Rifkin rematch? I think it'd be closer this time. Yeah, Jesse's moved up from Platinum to Diamond League, I believe, so maybe that's like an exhibition thing we could do for the live finals, like before we get into it or something.
Amazing.
Zongrub can condescendingly cast it and all that good stuff. But anyways, the roaches, of course, will find only Hellions to stop them initially. And that's not so great for GuMiho. That being said, he's got the combination Raven and the Cyclones following this up. And like, truth be told, auto turrets, again, surprisingly large amounts of damage.
Really unfortunate for GuMiho, though. I think if he scouts the Roach Warren a little bit sooner even, he might just pull to his main base, his SCVs, because you saw, like, the panicked running around that they did there. Oh, and he may have... Well, that actually might have been a trap.
Well, it gets on top of the Cyclone, though, so trap or not, this still doesn't work out too badly for Bly. Killing a Cyclone means no counterattack, really. Of course, the auto turret not being in play either. He does get a surround. SCVs go down, though. 10 workers killed gives Bly a worker lead. And the fact that GuMiho's production's already been kind of stifled hurts, because if that Cyclone was still out, he had 2 of them right now, goes across the map for a counterattack, he might actually be able to kill Bly.
That's certainly true. I think it was... It might have made up for the Ling losses, but 10 SCVs actually isn't that devastating, considering it was so many roaches, and a less economical opener, too. So I don't know where this really puts him. It really does suck, though, that GuMiho barely has a counterattack. Because if he had a Banshee on the way, then the Banshee's doing something. If the Raven had more energy, then the Raven's throwing on auto turrets. But he really doesn't have very much until that Banshee comes out. The Hellions are only... They shouldn't be able to do very much, anyway. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but they shouldn't.
Nate's given us an excellent resub that I would like to sing out, but I don't think I could do it justice. We'll get to that in a moment, though. Auto turret in the main going to be a little bit of a distraction. Hellions are a far bigger priority. The splash damage is way more dangerous than any amount of auto turret damage. It only lasts for 7 seconds after all. The Roach actually lives. You can make that into a Ravager now if you'd really like to, as there's a Banshee follow-up.
Nice.
But, oh, man, speaking of nice, there's a nice worm coming up. And, well, actually, this is a bit awkward. Bly doesn't have any vision on the other side of the map. There's no Overlords. There's no Lings.
He's an Overseer making, so eventually he will, but this is a very interesting game. I mean, the Hellions really did a lot of equalizing damage for the Roaches, but again, I don't know if the Roaches really did enough damage in the first place. But then the Nidus Worm might be a really good maneuver, as GuMiho still doesn't have a ton of production. He won't have Hellbats, but he will have 3 Cyclones and a Banshee. I actually have no idea how to call this one. I think Bly has a shot here.
He's really reaching for that auto turret. Let's not forget, Bly has also been a player who has brought drones through to build support. Oh, Queen. No, why? Oh, God, he needs that Queen, actually, really badly. I was looking at the main of the Banshees. That's why he lost that. That's unfortunate, but trades out.
Banshee. Oh, it might scout the Nidus Worm, too.
Oh,
Too late.
No, it's pushed off. Okay, so Nidus Worm's going to make it to the main. GuMiho actually doesn't have vision where this is currently coming down, but it looks like he will find it. Hellbats get made.
Good news.
One Banshee, though, takes so long to clean up all these roaches. The one in the main managed to push off and barely live.
He's actually going to have Hellbats, which I think helps a ton.
Oh, that Nidus Worm dies, like, immediately.
Yeah, this is game, then, for Bly. If he can't get his roaches out here,
well,
he's going to try and go for the front.
So it's game for most people, but let's not forget Bly will go, like, 4 Nidus Worms deep and sometimes find a way to make it work. I mean, cheer for Bly hard, guys. He needs it. This army out of GuMiho is absolutely fantastic, and I don't think Bly will have an easy time. But as we see, just goes back to the main. This Nidus Swarm just baits the army out of position. He'll be able to dive right back in and go straight to the main, but picks off the Banshee on the return. Roaches are dying, though. Not something he wants to trade with. He doesn't have a lot more units in the Nidus Swarm already. But pops up in the main. Positionally, not bad, but army-wise still favors GuMiho.
Yeah, 2 more Cyclones on the way out. I think it's just too much DPS. Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, this was a good attempt out of Bly. I love that he goes down with a Nidus Swarm, but looks like GuMiho's going to hold on and have to Bly's going to have to retry in the losers bracket. Pops out through the other Nidus Swarm. But there's just no army to fight with.
Yeah. What an interesting game, though. I'm still unsure if the Nidus Swarm in the main had gotten all the Roaches and Queens out. Bly might have had a shot there. But it seemed unlikely unless GuMiho just never scouted it, basically. Just never saw it coming. Which apparently he did. He didn't actually scout it, I don't think. No, he didn't, but he must have known, like, well, it's Bly, there wasn't a lot of drones in the third base, there was barely any drones in the natural. He probably put 2 and 2 together, which resulted in him having a full surround in the Nidus Swarm, which meant that the Nidus Swarm was going to get KO'd instantly. And then, well, from there, you know,
if you put
production was too good.
If you put 2 and 2 together and come out ahead, does 2 plus 2 equal 5?
If you put 2 and 2 together, it's really 22. Okay, so I'm saying that all wrong.
Hey, Zombie Grub, do you know what DJ Khaled's favorite number is?
What?
It's 11, because it's got another one.
I don't understand who that is.
Oh,
sorry.
GG. GuMiho takes the series 2-1 over Bly and advances on into the semifinals, where he's going to face off against Keen. We will likely cast that one next because it will lead to a qualifying match. But this guarantees one Korean Terran will get through the wildcard group at this point. It's Stylish and Jakshi, and Keen and GuMiho are the contenders. But, of course, it has now turned into copy pasta. But thank you to Nathanius for that big old resub. 31 years says this one's for the girls who've ever had a broken heart. Who'd wished upon a shooting star. I can't sing it. Who wished upon a shooting star. You're beautiful the way you are. This one's for Rifkin. What better time to resub than during a GuMiho game? Nice. But okay, give me some Sir 1s and Sir 2s if you got them in chat, guys, for the dank resub. We'll probably end up going to the Korean server, I guess, for this, and go to a commercial break while we swap around. So stick with us, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes for more of the TING wildcard qualifiers when we return.